What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Doctor Who Series 11 review. Today I'm going to be reviewing Series 11 Episode 10, the finale, the Battle of Ranskoor Av Kolos. Yeah, bit of a tongue twister name, bit of a weird name there. But yeah, the Battle of Ranskoor Av Kolos. Episode 10 of Series 11, the finale for this series. And yeah, I was excited for this one because, this is the big finale. We are sadly, well, I say sadly, I was thinking sadly at the time, going back to Chris Chibnall's writing, he hasn't written since episode 5, I believe. So yeah, sadly we are going back to him, so I was a little bit about it, because I was definitely thinking his writing hasn't been the best in this series, and considering a showrunner, that's not a very good sign. So yeah, I was a little bit kind of iffy about what this was going to be like with him writing the finale. Of course he was going to write the finale, he's a showrunner, so that makes perfect sense. And you wouldn't have it any other way, but I was a little bit skeptical. But anyway, let's get into the cast. So Jodie Whittaker is the 13th Doctor. She's very good in this one. She's actually really, really good in this one. I definitely feel like over the last 3 or 4 episodes, really, yeah, for the last 3 or 4, maybe even 5 episodes now, Jodie Whittaker's actually been going up and up and up as the Doctor. I really think she's doing a very good job here. She still has moments that I'm not a big fan of. Sometimes it's just the way she says things. Other times it's just the way she's written. I do find her quite annoying sometimes. I know that I watch these with my parents. Usually my dad's the only one that really watches properly. And he keeps on going on about how she, the way she kind of sporadically goes off and says random things here and there. And I do agree that it is a bit annoying at times, but I kept on telling him, I kept on saying, that's kind of just what the Doctor's like. I mean, look at Matt Smith's Doctor. It's very similar to Matt Smith's Doctor. I think there is a way that she does it though. Like I said, I don't know if it's the writing or if it's how she performs it, but she can come off a little bit annoying, a little bit repetitive. But yeah, on the whole though, I think she's very good in this one, especially towards the end when she realizes what the threat is and all that sort of stuff. In her more serious moments, I think Jodie Whittaker is very, very good. It's just some of the sillier moments don't always do it for me, but yeah, on the whole, I'd say that she's very good in this. Bradley Walsh as Graham O'Brien. Thankfully we've had a whole series where I have liked Graham throughout the whole series. He's really good in this one, and I mean, honestly, I feel like this series is more of the Bradley Walsh show than it is of the Doctor's show. But you know what? Like, back in the day, we always used to say that the Clara show, when Clara was in it, it was all about her, and that didn't work. But now it kind of does. I mean, it's weird. It works for Graham. I think he's really, really good, and he's really good again here. It kind of puts other things in the background. I just think as a companion, he's definitely the most interesting companion of the 3, and in this one he's had the best story arc as well, over the whole series, with the whole thing with Grace, and I love, and also with Ryan, I love how, when the Doctor is going, he says to the Doctor, when they find out that Tim Shaw is the villain of this story, which we'll get into later, when they find that out, Ryan's like, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him for what he did to Grace. And the Doctor's like, you can't kill him. That's not the way. You need to be the better person here. But even after all that, and even after she says, if you kill him, you're not traveling with us anymore. Even after that, he's like, okay, that's fine by me. I'm still going to kill him. I think that is just such an awesome moment. But then when he does finally, come face to face with him and he has the opportunity to kill him, he decides, no, I'm the better man. And with Ryan there as well, he just decides, nah, that's not the right thing to do, and I love that. I think Graham's character, it's really weird for me, and this is why I really can't kind of get to grips, especially with the Doctor's character, of whether it's the actress or whether it's the writing, because I think Bradley Walsh as an actor is doing a fabulous job, but I think that works as well because he just seems to have been written better than any other character. His dialogue and everything, it just seems to be written better, and I don't know, that's why I kind of get confused with whether it's the writing or the acting a lot of the time, because, there is some very poor writing here, but in my opinion, Graham hasn't really had any poor writing throughout this whole series. He has been the one thing throughout this whole series that's worked all the way through. So it's a bit strange, but yeah, on the whole, Graham's really good. Also, we've got Ryan, Tosin Cole playing Ryan Sinclair. He's really good in this one as well. I've come to like his character quite a lot more throughout the end of the series. You know, last episode and this episode, I've really come to like Ryan's character a lot more. You know, he has some really good stuff with Graham in this one, especially, you know, when he fist bumps him at the end. We've all been waiting for that moment this whole time, and he says, "I love you" as well. It's just such an awesome moment. And yeah, I think altogether Ryan is really good in this one as well. And then Manda Gill as Yasmin, she's pretty good in this one as well. She gets quite a bit of stuff with the Doctor. Once again, I feel like she is being put into the background a little bit again, just because Ryan and Graham have that dynamic that just, you know, that's just the dynamic they have, and Yaz is just kind of there. She was kind of connected with Ryan because they went to school together, and that was about it. So yeah, I think just because of that, I don't think it's necessarily she doesn't get as much to do as the others. She just doesn't feel as fleshed out because she doesn't have that dynamic that the other two have with each other. But, you know, on the whole, I think Yaz is pretty good in this one. I'm not going to really go through the guest cast. I think they're all pretty good, though. You know, you've got Mark Andy playing Palitricky. I don't know how to pronounce it. I can't exactly see it 100% on my screen right now. He does a good job. Then you've got all the other characters. You know, you've got them Uck characters, the two Ucks. They're very good as well. And then you've also got Tim Shaw himself, who's actually called Tim Shah, but we always call him Tim Shaw. Yeah, Samuel Oatley, he does a great job in this one. I do think he is better in this than he was in The Woman Who Fell to Earth. But anyway, that's all the cast on. Long time talking about the cast on this one because I just really wanted to I had a lot to say. Let's finally actually get into the story. So this story is about, well, it starts off with Mark Addy's character, who, you know, he's got this like crew of people, and they're sending out these distress signals, and you know they're on this planet, and you know all this stuff's happening, and it turns out that what's happening is Tim Shaw is he's taken a bunch of planets. I think it was 5 planets, 5 or 6 planets. He's taken them away from where they should be, and you know he's kind of storing them in these kind of crystal looking things, and I thought that was pretty cool. You know, I mean, obviously in The Woman Who Fell to Earth he had the whole thing where his whole thing was that he killed people to take trophies. You know, he took trophies from people, he took the teeth out of people and put them on his face, which is very weird. Yeah, that was his whole thing, the trophy thing. Now they did kind of talk about in this one how, you know, the trophies weren't, they didn't really talk about the whole trophy thing here, but I felt like the way that he took the planets and put them on display in these crystal looking things, it's like a trophy, you know, and I think that's a very good connection there. And yeah, I thought that was really cool. The way that they said that Tim Shaw survived, you know, he got like teleported by the Doctor in The Woman Who Fell to Earth. He got put on this planet, and then, you know, he was damaged because of it. He has to be put up to a machine so he can breathe. I think that's really cool. Very reminiscent of you know, John Lumick in The Age of Steel, Rise of the Cybermen in Series 2, very reminiscent of that. Also, the whole feel of this with Tim Shaw really reminds me of Darth Vader from Star Wars. I mean, I saw the Ace Creeper, I watched his review just after watching the episode. I saw that he compared this to Darth Vader as well, and I think it does it. It kind of pays homage to that and kind of takes ideas from that very well without really going in, you know, without completely ripping it off. So I think that's really cool. Tim Shaw in this is just such a good character. I was not the biggest fan of him in The Woman Who Fell to Earth. I didn't feel like he was menacing enough. In this one though, he is really menacing. He works very well, and you know, I like how his whole thing is he just wants to get revenge on the Doctor. Now the fact that he's been sitting around for over 3,000 years, it's like, okay, he's just been kind of waiting around. It's like, I mean, he couldn't really do anything else. He had to stay there. So I can kind of understand that, but I just love how, you know, he's doing this. He wants to get revenge on the Doctor, and he's going to take Earth, and I think, you know, that's his final planet that he's going to take, or at least one of the planets he's going to take, the next one. And I just think that's a really cool little concept there. So we also had the return of the sniper robots, the sniper bots in this episode, which were in the Ghost Monument. They weren't a very big part of the Ghost Monument, they were just kind of there. I did feel like they were a little bit of a weird inclusion. You know, we initially get, you know, told, we find out that Tim Shaw is back, and I thought, okay, they've brought him back, which one I thought was very interesting because Trish Chibnall said that there would not be any recurring characters in this series, but there is. I'm a bit annoyed about that. However, I think Tim Shaw was done so much better in this episode, and it kind of did work that I don't really mind it. But then bringing the sniper bots back from the Ghost Monument, for me, just felt a bit cheap. It felt like, okay, after they returned, I thought, okay, well, are we just gonna get, is Krasko gonna show up? Are we gonna get bloody the Pating showing up here? What are we doing? So I was a bit thrown off with that. I'm glad they didn't kind of bring everyone in, because that would have just felt so cheap. But I mean, I think they worked at what they were. Once again, they were these really shit robots that had stormtrooper aim. Once again, I suppose, you know, reminiscing to Star Wars again. I think Chris Chibnall did take some inspiration here. But yeah, I mean, they were okay. So I really like the conclusion as well, how they use the Arcs. You know, the Arcs, they help out these planets and stuff. They do stuff with planets, but Tim Shaw kind of manipulated them into, instead of helping planets and, you know, putting planets back to where they should be, he was kind of making them take planets away. So I like how the resolution is that they have to use the TARDIS because, you know, they don't have enough power or whatever, so they have to use the TARDIS, and these Arcs have to put the planets back into where they should be in time. And I think that's a pretty cool conclusion. I think it worked well. It was very action-packed, and that's one of the things I really did like about this episode. It was the most action-packed episode this series by far, and especially the last 20 to 25 minutes were really solid and exciting, and I did enjoy that. I will say though, the first 20 or so minutes were your standard Series 11 slow burning thing. There was some good dialogue here and there, but there's just too much. There's just too much dialogue. The Doctor explaining things that she doesn't really need to explain in all this detail. Just characters explaining things that, yeah, it's nice to get to know these characters, but we don't really care. We don't need to know all this information. That is my main criticism with this whole series. I'll talk about that when I do a overview of the whole series, but in this one, yeah, the first 20 minutes, I was a bit bored. Tim Shaw showed up though, we kind of got the threat down, and it really picked up for me. So yeah, that is my biggest issue. Once again, like a lot of the series, there are points which are slow, and also, although this episode did pick up right at the end, I still don't think it quite feels like a finale. Now, I think when you put it in comparison to all the other episodes of this series, this does feel like a finale in comparison to those, but that's with a bunch of episodes that weren't very action-packed and didn't have a lot going on and weren't the most complex. So when you put it in kind of in contention with all the other finales from the 10 other series of New Who, it falls flat a little bit. So it just doesn't feel as bombastic and as, you know, finale-esque. It doesn't feel as, I don't know, as big as it should have been. But I still enjoy it. So yeah. Alright, so for a rating. My rating for the Battle of Ranskoor Av Kolos, this is really tough for me. At the moment, it's an 8.5 out of 10. I was really thinking about giving this a 9. However, I definitely think I need to have a second rewatch. I need to have another rewatch, a second watch, before I can really justify giving it a 9. Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to rewatch all of Series 11 before I rank them all. So at the moment, this sits with Kablam. I've given them both an 8.5. So yeah, I'm interested to see where it will you know, go once I've watched it again and watched the whole series again. Because although I think it's very good as a finale, it works as a finale in conjunction with everything else in this series. When you compare it to other finales of other series, it's just not as big. So it's a bit hard to explain, but you probably understand what I mean. So yeah, an 8.5 out of 10. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe. Tell me what you guys thought of this episode and of Series 11 as a whole, and I'll see you guys in the next video.